What is up, guys? So my best and worst rates video really took off. I didn't think it was gonna do that good, to be honest, but I figured since it took off and it did so well and people were so fascinated with it, why not do a part two? If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to put the hyperlink somewhere up here. So these are, in my opinion, the best and worst destroyer rates in the Navy, part two. Let's go. And in this video, I'm only gonna do 3 of each instead of 5 of each. So I'm gonna start off with the best ones. 1.
Hey, I need your help.
Anything paperwork comes through us.
We're gonna start off with YN/PS, pretty much the admin people, right? So these are the people that you spend all morning trying to talk to, and you go to their office during office hours, and they're busy the whole time, and then after lunch, you see them walking off the ship with all their bags, and you're just like, what is going on? But I feel like admin rates are the best rates because, one, they always get off at decent times. Like, I never really see admin people staying past maybe 2 p.m. to be honest. 2, their advancement is really, really good, to be honest. And 3, well, on our ship, they had admin and certain rates standing watches, but I've heard on other ships they don't. So they do the same job out to sea that they do in port. And in port, it's they have certain hours. So it's you're not really gonna see them outside of those hours. They have their own office, their own area. So it's doing that in port and underway, they have a lot of free time on their hands. So I would say that's probably, I don't know why that didn't make it to the part 1, but that is one of the best rates on the destroyer. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to say, one of the most difficult things in the military in general is the amount of paperwork and admin stuff you have to do. And that being your job and you understanding all the workarounds and stuff is a huge plus, because I'm telling you, the military paperwork and all the stuff you have to go through is not fun. Number 2.
How the ones and zeros translate from a user's email, how do they get to the shore? Because there's no cable lines, there's no fiber lines, and that's our job completely.
So IT guys, I did say in my last video that IT was an honorable mention, but I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into that. So ITs, they pretty much control the networks, they control all the accounts and stuff on the ship, and they have a really nice AC cooled space that is out of the way, so people don't I guess you don't run into them super often, right? Underway, they do the same thing that they do in port. They have their own little watch rotation, their own thing, their own little area. And I've never heard IT complain about being an IT. They've complained about stuff going down and things like that, but overall, I don't hear them complain. On top of that, they have a pretty high advancement rate. And if you do IT in the military and you learn all this network stuff and all this computer stuff, and you want to continue that in the civilian world, there's a big civilian sector for IT and networking and social media and all these different things that you do. All right, so number 3, the third best. This was a little hard to think about, to be honest, but I'm gonna have to say QMs, right?
We are on the USS George H.W. Bush, which is a Nimitz-class carrier. Right now, we are in the pilot house. Pretty much the life of the ship, in all manners of navigating and getting to where we need to be.
QMs in port are OSs. They clean, they maybe do a couple meetings, and they disappear. They have a sprinkle of maintenance thrown in and preservation and stuff, but it's they're off at really decent times. You don't really see them complaining. They just be off to the side and they just disappear. Underway, on the other hand, it's a little bit different because they do navigation. You need them to guide the ship and all that stuff. So they work a little bit more, but it's still not that bad compared to a lot of rates. And their advancement is pretty high. So I would say QMs are really good. And on top of that, civilian sector, navigation, all that stuff, that's something that costs a lot of money to learn outside the military. Now I'm gonna talk about the worst ones. Number one.
I never imagined myself being a firefighter in the Navy.
When I started out, I was a civilian.
I'm gonna have to say DC. I promise I am not hating on engineers. I appreciate engineers and respect them for everything they do, but DC's, wow. Personally, I would never really do anything engineering. I'm not that type of person, but I definitely wouldn't do anything DC related. I don't even like doing DC trading. These are the guys that you see maintaining everything around the ship, because they pretty much have to maintain all of our like water systems, our life stuff like our EEBDs, all the firefighting gear, the low power, high power. Well, there's other engineering rates that do like air and stuff, but they do a little bit of everything all around the ship. So you see them all the time working. They get off pretty late, which is, I mean, that's just an engineering thing, but I mean, they're engineering, so they get off pretty late. They respond to every single casualty. Every single casualty. It's crazy. Like flooding, fires, all that stuff. And like when we're underway and we have GQs and stuff, you see them in the P-ways with all this hot gear on, just sitting there just in case something happens, looking like they're about to pass out. The only thing that I can say is kind of good that like would make me maybe consider something like that is like their advancement is pretty decent, but I don't think it's worth it for what you end up doing day to day as a DC. Like no, that's definitely nope. So number two.
This 5-inch weapon system behind me is the largest gun system on the ship. Feels like your body kind of compresses just a little bit.
Gunner's mate.
I feel like this is something that a lot of people don't talk about or they don't say, like the GM thing, because like GM, I wouldn't say it's a bad job. I just feel like when you really look at the overall weapons department and all the different rates that do different jobs involving weapons and all that stuff, GMs definitely have it worse. Me, just off the top of my head, knowing how many weapons and how much ammo like a regular ship has, and that's just for like a small ship like mine, it's like they have to maintain all of this stuff. They have to keep track of all this stuff. When we do onloads and offloads, they have to do all the maintenance and stuff. Just their regular maintenance, even outside of those like rare times or special times, is like so high. And out of all the weapon rates, they have the highest tendency of getting off late and stuff like that because they're maintaining everybody's system. So I would say, yeah, GM is not the worst overall, but definitely in the department, they are not a very good option if you had the choice. And the last thing that I'm gonna throw in, it's not a rate, it's more of an opinion, but there's a lot of truth behind the opinion. So the worst thing that you can do is be useless to your team or your division. If you are useless to your team or your division or whatever, you will end up doing every job on the ship. They will send you cranking, sometimes even multiple times. You'll end up working with the engineers. You'll end up doing all the BS that nobody wants to do. You'll end up doing preservation, even for other departments that have nothing to do with your department. They will literally do anything they can to get rid of you if you are not useful or if nobody likes you. But that also goes with the you're not useful thing, because if you're not useful, nobody likes you. If you're going to pick a rate, even if it is one of the worst rates or the rates that you are like, damn, I kind of messed up, I would say put some pride in it and put some work in, because it can always be worse, trust me. All right, so if you like this type of content, I'm starting to really like the whole sit down and talk type of video things. So leave a like below, leave some comments on what your opinion is, and subscribe for more. Also, I am creating a podcast that is pretty much dedicated to showing the lifestyles and more insight of everyday military people, different branches, different like ranks, different jobs, so that people can have more of an insight of what these jobs do, what these people do, what being in this branch is really like. And the first podcast will be dropping pretty soon, so stay tuned for that.